Hello and welcome to Thinking Out Loud. I'm Gloria Politis, your host. And with me in the studio today I have two guests from the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. Ed Cantara, who is the homebuyer counselor, and Cathy Mercado, who is the project coordinator. So welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you to LTC for hosting the show.
You know, you do so much good in the community, so some people may not know what the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership is, so if you'd like to explain that a little bit.
We're an organization that's 32 years old, and we started as developers, and they built three buildings, and some of the stuff is down at Swedes Village. And then what happened was there was a time that came where they had to make a decision. The market was changing. They decided not to continue in the development side and focus totally on education. So this is all we do is home buyer education. We've had over 17,000 graduates who have gone through the program, and we get people that come to our classes, whether it be first-time home buyer, landlord training. We do classes in English, Spanish, and Khmer, and we're just well known for that service. And then the counseling that takes place after people graduate. And Cathy will talk about the down payment programs that we offer. So, you know, we provide a lot of information, a lot of outreach, a lot of services for a first-time buyer. That's what we focus on.
You have a program called Project Genesis.
Yep. Project Genesis is the name of the program for the first-time home buyers. We have classes that we do on Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. They take place over a 2-week period. We do Spanish classes and Khmer classes every other month, normally on 2 Saturdays. We offer landlord training, and that's people that are buying a 2 or 3 family are required by most lenders to get that certificate. And first-time buyers who really want to take advantage of what's there for them, who want to get special mortgage programs where there's no mortgage insurance and reduced interest rates, have to take these classes in order to get those loans.
Yeah. Why is it important for people to get this training, buyers particularly, to get this training?
Well, basically to promote sustainable home ownership, sustainability basically. In regards to the market right now and the rental market, it just makes sense to purchase a home. Even though some people might be a little bit scared, they have to pay different things like water and tax bills, but in reality there's a lot of families out there that are paying 80% of their income to rent. So we're trying to promote home ownership. Everywhere we go, we're promoting the home ownership program because it's affordable. It really is affordable, especially with the down payment assistance programs that the city of Lowell has to offer.
So there are these programs that can assist people in down payments, because most of the time if you don't have a down payment, at least nowadays, at one time, a few years ago, there were those kinds of programs and people got into all kinds of trouble.
Those were the old 80-20 loans, and I was a loan officer at a bank during that crisis, and people would be like, well, I don't have to put any money down. I said, yeah, but what's going to happen down the road when the market does shift and you have to refinance, you won't be able to, or if the adjustable rates, most of those were adjustables on both ends. And I remember people having like a 7% on a first mortgage of 80% and a 9% on a back end for a 20% down, and those were adjusting like every year. And so after a year or two, people can't afford the house, and that's what led to a lot of problems. No verification loans, but we have some solid mortgage products in place. And again, like Cathy said, these programs are here to help the first-time buyer so that they're not house poor after they buy their house. Because inevitably, I know from being a homeowner, whenever anything goes wrong, it's when you don't have the money. The water heater goes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And then, the furnace goes.
Right.
And you might say, hey, I'm fine. I've got 4 years because the home inspector said I've got 5 years. There's no guarantee. They give you an estimate, but if something goes, people don't budget. There's a crisis, and then what do? With that program that Cathy administers is, you've got the down payment from the city to help you get in the house so that you have that money left in your account. Not to go out and buy furniture or buy a car, but that is for emergency funds. And those are the people who really are successful when they have that, and they've got peace of mind. Because if I've got $5,000 or $6,000 sitting in the bank, some people have more than that after they buy the house. I sleep at night. But if you're like, oh, I pray to God that I don't have anything happen for the next year.
Right,
I've been in
right.
that situation. That's why I'm saying from experience, it's great to take advantage of these programs because they didn't have them when I bought.
Most of the people that buy and come through our programs are single family head of households with children. So that's why these programs that the city of Lowell offers are so important. It helped me get into my home.
So you actually took
I
part in
actu-
this program.
Yes, and it wasn't easy. It didn't happen overnight. You know, it took some training. When I was younger, I wasn't taught. You know, I was taught to pay bills on time, you know, but my grandparents, they raised me, and all they knew was how to pay their bills on time, work, do what they had to do to support the family. But they didn't know anything about credit. No one taught them, you know what I mean? They didn't educate us the way that other people, you know, have been educated. So basically, I came in this already with 2 children with a clear mind. I had no idea what I had to do in order to purchase a home. I never thought that it would be possible.
Right, right. And of course, in your grandparents' day, they probably didn't have credit cards and that kind of thing that they had to worry about. So
No.
it's a whole different world.
No.
So what kinds of things do they learn in the training that they need to know?
Well, we have professionals in the area that come in and volunteer their time. We have lenders, real estate brokers, home inspectors, attorneys. So we teach them everything from the beginning until the closing. So it's a 4-night course that we do Tuesdays, Wednesdays from 6:30 to 9 o'clock once a month. So it's 4 nights for our in-house session. We also do offer an online session, and you can do that if you can't come in those 4 nights. We always recommend for you to come in because it's not available for everyone's schedule, but if you can make it work, it's always good because when you have a professional and you can ask questions, I just feel like you learn more and you can take in things better. But, you know, not everyone has flexible schedules, so you can do the online course.
That's great.
And then all you have to do is come in for a follow-up session, which is an hour and a half. And we are certified through CHAPA and the Citizens
Housing and Planning Assistance.
Thank you.
It's the Homeownership Collaborative certifies programs around the state that teach home buyer education. There are people out there teaching classes that aren't certified, so the banks might, and they're okay for informational, but
right.
you're not going to get a certificate that's valid when you go for a loan to get a special mortgage product or a special interest rate.
Exactly.
And a lot of the lenders, some credit unions will do, you know, come in and learn how to be a homeowner, quote unquote. Naturally, they're going to have somebody come in and speak, maybe an attorney that does closings for the bank, a real estate agent. They'll have a team, and it's probably an informal 2-hour thing, and it's great. Education can't hurt, but you know, I believe that in the end, you know, they have a business purpose attached to that. If somebody doesn't qualify for a mortgage, what do they do with them? You know, we're here to help with those folks that whether they've got a PhD, we've had people with PhDs making $100,000 a year. I sat with a couple about a month and a half ago. Everybody takes home buyer education, whether they're a high school grad, PhD, or some people got a GED, because everybody wants that dream of trying to be a homeowner. And you know what? Everybody gets there if they follow the steps. It doesn't matter. You know, not everybody's going to have the express track where you know, I sat with you, I counseled, I looked at their credit, their debt, their savings, and they're ready to go. Some people are on a slower track where, hey, you've got some credit stuff, let's help you fix it. And we don't charge them for that. They take the course. It's part of the course is the counseling, which is, I think, invaluable because somebody came in and I helped them with the medical debt, and it saved them lots of money. And so people don't understand debt. They don't know how it works, and that's where we educate them. People say, well, I paid that collection account off, and I'll look at the report. I'm like, well, why'd you do that? Oh, because the guy at work told me to do that. I said, what do you do? I'm a machinist. I said, so the guy you work with, he's not a banker, he's a machinist. So sometimes people think they're doing something good to help themselves out, and it's something that we would say, don't pay the collection, and it's counterintuitive on credit, but if it's an old collection, get your pre-approval, and the bank will tell you when to pay it and address it then. If you pay certain things, your score drops. And we want to try to maintain scores where people can access some of these mortgage products. And Cathy said that there's a program that's lowering their credit score to 640 to help a lot of folks. It's the MHP 1 program. There's also Mass Housing, another good program for first-time buyers. And some of the banks have their own in-house programs. So the key here is to educate people so they can make informed, educated decisions based on the information we provide. That's what we want to do, is make sure people know what to do and how to do it, and not take the wrong turn or listen to somebody who does not have their best interests in mind.
So after they take the 4 nights, and they're not ready, obviously, from what you found, are you still involved?
Basically, I'd call them all the time, ask them questions. This organization helped me, gave me the opportunity to be sitting here and educate people, and my passion is home ownership. And if it wasn't, it took me 2 years. They helped me with my credit, they helped me with budgeting, they taught me things that no one ever taught me how to do.
We kept you motivated. I told you, you can't give up now.
And it's not easy. It wasn't easy, you know, especially when you're a single mom and you have children. I've always worked my whole life. You know, I've done the best I could by my children, but I wanted them to have a home. I wanted to show them that they can do this, and if I can do it, anyone can do it. And then after I worked with them for 2 years, I went and I became a loan officer. Did that for a year. Like I said earlier to you in our private conversation, I love the nonprofit world. Home ownership is my passion. Every time someone closes on a home that we helped, and we help a lot of people with this organization. There's just 3 of us.
And that's amazing for all that you do. So about how many people have been helped over the years?
It's hard to say exactly. I don't have the exact number, but I would say, well, as far as counseling goes, I would say 35% of the people that go through the classes call us and they sit down with myself and we do the counseling. But we've helped out lots of people with phone calls. Geez, I've got a problem with a tenant, what do I do? You know, we provide a lot of resource and information education. But I think we've got, what did Jim say, we've got over 5,000 buyers?
Well, in regards to that question, I believe that I forget who did the analysis, but it was every 14 houses in Lowell, one of those people have went through the program. So,
wow.
And I'm sure it's more than that. We're sure it's more than that. But again, we do our best, and Jim's great at keeping track and who's home. And we try to keep track of the home ownership. We'll follow up with them. But basically, the numbers that we can see are the people that have utilized the down payment assistance program, because we administer the 2 down payment assistance programs for the city.
That program, that study was done by a UMass graduate student, and they used the mapping data, and it's 1 out of every 14 home buyers in the city has gone through our classes. But like Cathy said, we believe it's higher because some people buy and we don't hear from them. So we're constantly trying to go into the registry of deeds and look up people who, you know, who've gone through the class to see who's bought. You know, that's really an impact on the community, because when you have somebody who buys a house, the neighborhood's going to automatically change. There's pride of home ownership. People are going to, you know, they want the house looking nice. They want to paint the decks. They want to, you know, you go through certain neighborhoods and it's just so pleasant to see, you know, it starts with one homeowner. Then the next one says, I want my house to look nice. And people sweeping their front yards and raking their yards. And, you know, that's why this program is successful and helps. And they do this in other cities as well, because it's proven that home ownership is going to make the neighborhood better. People have a stake in the community. They're paying their taxes.
They're paying their taxes to the city.
They're buying materials and supplies. You know, if you know, paint, wallpaper, redo stuff in the house, that's bringing money into the local economy. You know, we always say try to use the local vendors.
And
so
homeowners,
it's a win.
Homeowners seem to be, once you're a homeowner, I think you're more part of the community than you would be renting, not knowing your neighbors. When you own, you want to know your neighbors. Yeah. I mean, you just want to say hello. You want that sense of community, you know, so.
And one thing I was going to ask Cathy, because I know I've asked a lot of home buyers, how did this, change your life, and it's such a change for people, but predominantly or specifically the children. And I always know what's going to happen. I say, you know, when you buy a house, your kids are going to see things differently. So what was your experience with your children?
My children, they're so happy. They know it was not easy to get here, but I'm certain that when they become you know, at a certain age and they're able to buy, children that are, their parents own a home tend to buy a home, not rent.
Right.
You know, if I would have stayed renting, they probably would have just been another number, just renting, not knowing what home ownership could do. Home ownership too is basically savings for most people. I mean, you're paying your mortgage, but that money's going back to you once you pay off the house. Or you can leave it to your children. I mean, I wasn't brought up that way, so I didn't know. But home ownership has done so much for me. I'm sitting here with you all talking about home ownership, and I'm humbled, and I am happy to be here and to promote home ownership. That's
great. So before you bought a home, did your kids have a place to play outside, or did that those kinds of things?
Yeah, they did. I mean, in certain places, I tried to find the best neighborhoods that I could within my income, but it wasn't ours. You know, we had to worry about the neighbors, you know, their children, and my children, they don't run or do much, they're not really active like that. But still, you have to worry, you gotta tell them, please don't walk hard on the, you know, so it's different now. Now this is their home. They can do what they want. If they want to run up the stairs, go right ahead. If you want to go outside and play, we have a safe place for you to play.
The other thing I think from my parents rented when I was younger, and it was just like, you know, I hear this from a lot of people. I'm tired of paying rent. I want to buy. You know, I've moved twice in the last 2 years because the landlord sold the house. Or I get the rent increase, the dreaded letter that comes in the mail that says the rent's going up. So, you know, home ownership is also providing stability in somebody's future, that I've got a place here, I don't have to move, my rent's not going up. I mean, those are key factors, and I think more people looking at it that way. That's why they want to buy today. The rents have driven people to look at home ownership in ways that probably they weren't before, because, you know, people have got cheap rent and they don't think about buying a house. Now, this is put it out there. People have to think about, well, what am I going to do? The landlord could sell next year, or, you know, my landlord said he's selling in 3 months, and I'm in the program now. Can you help me get a house before he sells? We run into that a lot.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I had mentioned to you before we started too that I sold my house not knowing whether I was going to rent, or, you know, at my age, was I going to buy another house and whatever. And then looking at the rents, I was like, this is crazy.
Yes.
It's as much or more as I was paying for my house with over an acre of land in Hudson, New Hampshire. You know.
Well, everything's gone up, but Cathy, what are you seeing in the trends? People are moving from Boston area up here. I know that started happening because 3 years ago, I looked back on a gentleman that bought a house, and I said to him at the time when I was counseling him, I said, you're on a fixed income. This is the only chance you've got right here. You got to take it, or you may never be able to buy a house. It was something to do with the family members, and he was going to get 1/5. It worked out. He paid $105,000. He couldn't buy that house today. That was only 3 years ago. And so what do you see from the people that want down payment, or that you get calls from the Boston area, people want to know about Lowell, they want to move up here?
Well, Boston, obviously, the prices out there are astronomical. People want to move where it's more affordable, but they're higher income earners than the people that live in Lowell and surrounding areas. So it's great, they can afford to live here and the commute's not that bad.
Right.
But then what happens to the people that live around the city and in the city can't afford to stay here? And we're losing families, you know.
Right. I mean, it's a bargain for the folks that are in Medford, Malden. They're getting out of there, and it's only a 40-minute train ride to Boston.
Yeah, Jim, before he left, said that, you know, there's a Burmese community here.
Yes.
Which is great, and obviously we want the diversity. That's what Lowell's known for. But we already lost a few families because it's not affordable here. It wasn't affordable for them here. And it's just going to continue. I was reading an article last night, and it said that even if our economy drops and something similar happens to like what happened in 2008, that Boston and the surrounding areas will not be affected like everywhere else would be. So they see us still keeping that steady movement up instead of going down maybe with the rest of the country. And it's true to the fact that when that did happen in 2008, the crash, whatever,
Yeah, we didn't suffer as much
We
as other
didn't
parts
suffer.
of the country.
in that article, and I see that happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of high-tech jobs, a lot of demand. There was an article in the Boston Globe, I believe. Waltham, there were 11,000 new jobs in Waltham, but I can't remember, but only a couple of hundred new apartments. It was such a shift. It was like, well, that's why people can't live in Waltham. So they're coming out here, they're commuting, and we need more housing in the state. And I know Governor Baker had, I think they created 135,000 units last year, but if I'm not mistaken, I mean, we need more housing, and zoning has been a big issue in acquiring land and trying to build more, maybe not single family mansions, but more housing. I mean, you got to go up. There's only so much land, but you could build housing and it'll fill right away. There's just such a demand.
Right. Like you say, the zoning, the minimum an acre, minimum 5 acres, and depending where it is. And
one thing that I like to say, everyone says affordable housing. I like to say housing that's affordable for working families. Because right away, people hear affordable housing, down payment assistance. It's taboo in a way, but the people that qualify for these programs are your nurses, are your police officers, are your teachers, even the people that pour your coffee in the morning. I mean, everyone is needed to make a community. So we have to do things to make sure that we keep the people that we have here within the city, because they do not want to leave. They want to stay here. Not just the city, Massachusetts. I don't want to say the city because the city of Lowell is unique. I love my city. I was born and raised here. So anytime I hear something negative about Lowell, I always say something positive. I try to keep it positive. But the city of Lowell, the down payment assistance programs that we offer, right now you can get up to $14,500 to help with down payment or closing costs.
it's wonderful.
It depends, there's a formula that we use, but that's the maximum amount. Okay, we do have to follow guidelines in regards to family sizes. So for instance, a family of 4 cannot exceed $71,900 in order to qualify for the down payment assistance for Lowell. And that's one program. But Lowell is unique in the fact that we offer 2 down payment programs. So the Lowell Financial Development Corporation, they came up with another product for higher income earners, which is $145,000.
$530.
You can make up to that amount and still qualify.
Wow.
Now, both of these programs are loans that have to be paid back. The city of Lowell is a loan that has to be paid back if you sell your property or if you refinance and take equity out of your property, okay?
Or if you transfer the deed, so I can't put somebody's name on the deed once I get this down payment assistance.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
You have to remain the owner.
Well, people say, well, geez, I got to put my wife on the deed because if I die, I want her to get the house. Well, you wouldn't be able to do that because the city would call the note. There's another mechanism. They can go get a will or set up a trust to protect the asset. And, it's just a great program. People need to take advantage of it. 0% interest.
I tell people when they come or they're not sure about the program or how it works, I tell them, please take advantage of it. It's offered to you. We want to help home buyers. We're promoting home ownership. Take advantage of it because basically it's borrowed money for free, in other words. And you can leave your liquid assets in your account. Just use what you need to do because you do have to allocate 1.5% of the down payment. That's the portion that the buyer for the city of Lowell has to do. So basically what I say is, leave the funds that you can in the bank. And there's other things with this program that, people can feel free to call the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership and speak with me. I run the down payment assistance program, as well as Ed. You can speak to any of us there. But this is a program that we're trying to promote, as well as the Lowell Financial Development Corporation. One thing before I lose my train of thought, the Lowell Financial Development Corporation, basically they did this because they wanted to have another option. Again, as I said earlier in our private conversation, that there's a lot of millennials coming out of college with high student debt, and sometimes $5,000 that the LDFC can allocate towards the down payment makes a huge difference.
We've helped many people with that program. I helped out a couple of teachers with that. So the other thing with using a down payment is some people will say, hey, I've got money in a 401k, and we'll be like, well, you don't need to touch your 401k. We've got this money to help you. You don't have to ask the seller to pay for closing costs because we've got this money to help you. If you ask the seller for closing costs, they might not accept the offer. So, you know, we really want to promote the ease of use of the program. It's not complicated. There are lots of real estate agents who work with us, who know how to present the offers, who know how to look at the property. So if there's any issues, they can address it at the time. You know, the city will go out and do a housing quality standards test, and you know, they'll look at the home inspection report and make recommendations, but it's not anything onerous or anything that's way out of whack here. Sometimes it's some basic stuff.
Do you help with any of that, rehab?
Absolutely, yeah. The city's got a rehab program. We administer it. I handle that phase of it. And what happens is you have to own the house for at least 3 years. But there are people who have a house, they bought it, it maybe wasn't in the best of shape, and the roof is now upon them. And it's hard to come up with $12,000 to $15,000 for a roof. So we can do that.
Yeah.
We can provide the assistance.
That's great. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we want to let people know how they can sign up for the program.
Okay. If you want to call our office, our number is 978-459-8490. Our website is www.mvhp.org. And we also have a lead paint program, again, to help homeowners de-lead their properties. We handle all that in-house at our office. So please call us if you have any concerns with your home.
This has been great information.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Thinking Out Loud.